Danity Kane's Dawn Richards lawsuit against Diddy is worse than what is even being reported by the media. Dawn Richards has so many crazy allegations against Diddy in this lawsuit. I mean, she's talking about minors, she is talking about freak-off parties, she is talking about trafficking, she is talking about Kim Porter, she is talking about Cassie, she's talking about things that she witnessed with Diddy's assistant. She is talking about so much in this lawsuit, so we're about to go ahead and deep dive it right now. That way you can see all of the allegations she's making in this lawsuit. She starts this lawsuit out talking about her alleged first encounters of Diddy's aggressive behavior towards women during making the band. She talks about how Diddy would verbally abuse women, calling them ugly and hoes and every name out of the book. And she explained during the first season of Making the Band 3, she saw Kim Porter leave the studio with visible facial injuries, including a lacerated lip while she was crying. And in that moment, she realized that Diddy was capable of committing acts of violence against women. She then went on to talk about the inhumane treatment that Danity Kane went through while producing Making the Band 3. She explained that Danity Kane did not have adequate food or sleep when they were working on Making the Band 3, and they said when they would bring this up to Diddy, he would say things like, "You bitches don't want this, y'all are not hungry enough, and I'm paying y'all bitches to work." She explained that sometimes Danity Kane's members were forced to work for 36 to 48 hours without breaks, forcing them to choose between eating and sleeping. She explained how Diddy broke up Danity Kane after firing Aubrey O'Day, and this led her to have to work with Diddy on Dirty Money. She explained during the first recording of the Dirty Money album, she saw Cassie frying eggs for Diddy, and Diddy came downstairs mad, saying, "I've been asking you for my shit. I can't stand you. You never do it right." She said that Diddy pushed Cassie against the wall and choked her, and then picked up the scalding hot pan of eggs and threw it at her, causing her to fall to the ground in a fetal position. She said that he was cursing and screaming, and then Diddy dragged Cassie up the stairs. Dawn Richard explained in 2009 after the Soul Train Awards that Diddy flew her to his house in New York for an after party. She said there were many well-known celebrities at this after party and a whole bunch of illegal drugs were being openly consumed. She said Diddy flew out dozens of young women and girls, some who appeared to be underage, to the party. He explained that the women arrived wearing little to no clothing and were given drugs and alcohol. Many of them appeared lethargic or passed out while Diddy and his guests performed acts on them. Richard believed that her presence at the party was a test to see whether Diddy could trust her or not. She explains that Diddy said things like, "This is a buffet, enjoy yourselves. This is what we do and this is how we party." She explains that she was shocked and horrified at the sight of Diddy and his guests violating these young women. She said that Diddy would have a lot of these drug-fueled parties and she felt like there was no way she could escape this because during entry to these parties, Diddy would take the phones of all of his guests and lock them up. She explained that bodyguards would actually guard all of these phones and she would have no way to leave these parties unless Diddy knew that she was leaving. She also explained how Diddy would invite law enforcement officers to these parties as a fear tactic and tell them, "Hey, you can't report me to authorities," because they won't care because they're engaging in this activity. Dawn Richard explains how Diddy would have multiple parties at his house in Miami, Florida that would last several days. She said at one party she witnessed Diddy openly stating that he had arranged for busloads of young exotic girls such as mixed Black and Asian, Indonesian, and albino girls. She explained that she witnessed young girls once again at these parties being violated. She explained in another instance she watched Diddy punch Cassie in the bathroom of a party in Los Angeles. She said this happened frequently when Cassie attempted to voice her opinion or stand up to Diddy. He would strike her or wrap his hands around her throat. She explained that after several times of watching this, they told Cassie that she needed to leave Diddy, and then Diddy became aware of this conversation and he got mad and said, "Y'all bitches don't get in my relationship. Don't tell my bitch what she needs to be doing. Just make money and shut the up. I an artist. I shelve careers. You could be missing and you bitches wanna today." She explained how one time she went to a dinner with Diddy, Cassie, and other celebrities such as Neo, Usher, and Mr. Jimmy Iovine from Interscope Records for a deal that Diddy was doing with Interscope. During this dinner, Cassie and Diddy were actually having an argument in front of these dinner guests, and Diddy was screaming at Cassie and forcefully punched her in the stomach, causing her to double over in visible pain and crying in front of everybody at this dinner table. She explains how Cassie left this dinner and Diddy just casually kept talking to Usher, Neo, and Jimmy Iovine. She explained even after Jimmy Iovine watched Diddy commit this violent crime towards Cassie, he still went ahead and did his deal with Diddy anyway. She explains that all of these celebrities watching what happened to Cassie and never saying anything made her harmful of what Diddy could possibly do to her. John Richard explained after nonstop working for Diddy, she ended up becoming severely ill and it was actually checked into a hospital. After getting out of the hospital, she gave Diddy her medical records, which said that she needed to take time off and she needed to prioritize sleeping and eating better, and Diddy actually scheduled her to go into the studio the very next day. She explained that she continued to watch Diddy abuse Cassie, and Cassie often wore sunglasses and makeup to cover up any visible injuries. She explains that she saw Diddy more angry at recording sessions, and he would often throw objects such as albums, laptops, food against the wall or at individuals. She explained at this point, after everything that she had saw and went through, she felt very fearful and she felt like there was no way that she could get away from Diddy. She explained during these recorded studio sessions, Diddy would often hold parties where he would invite young men and women who were often scarcely dressed and appeared to be underage. She said that they would use drugs and engage in acts. She explained that she would watch Diddy and his colleagues kissing and inappropriately touching these young women, and then immediately after they would leave the area to have sex. She explains how there would be many different times that Diddy would come into her dressing room when she was getting changed and would touch on her inappropriately. She explained that one night during a trip, she watched Diddy and several other males ganging Diddy's female assistant at a hotel pool. She explained on her flight back to the United States the next day, she asked Diddy, "Where's your assistant?" And he said, "I don't give a where that bitch is." She later learned that Diddy had taken his assistant's passport with him to the United States, leaving the assistant stranded in the United Kingdom. She explained how one time Diddy was infuriated that she was late to an event and he put his arm up and swung his fist towards her face, and she thought that he was going to hit her. She braced for impact, but before Diddy could strike her, Diddy's bodyguard grabbed her, escorted her out of the studio, and forced her into the Bad Boy Records Bentley that was parked outside. Once she was inside the Bentley, she realized there was no interior door handles and that she was locked inside with no way to escape. At this point, she called her father and told him what happened and told him that she needed his help and that she feared that she would go missing. She explains how she started to scream loud, but no one responded. She said it was late in the evening in the wintertime, and the windows were heavily tinted. The interior of the car was dark, except for faint interior lights. She said her belongings and winter coat were left in the studio, and the ignition was off with no heat. She said she felt panic because all she could think about is Diddy's threats and violence that was running through her mind. She explained that her father drove to New York from Baltimore and arrived at the studio approximately 2 hours later while she was still locked in the car. Once her father arrived, he ordered to see his daughter, and Mr. Harvey Pierre ordered Diddy's bodyguard to release Richards from the vehicle. She said her dad waited 2 hours until he was able to talk to Diddy, and once he was able to talk to him, he said that he was going to call the police. She explained that Diddy told her father, "Think about your family and think about your daughter's career." She said that her father appeared very frightened by Diddy's threats and actions, which made Richard feel terrified for her and her family's safety. This is a lot of the highlights from Dawn Richards' lawsuit against Diddy. You guys let me know what you guys think of this bombshell lawsuit in the comments.